Chess friends, I hope you are doing well. Today, I am very excited to share with you the information that Mini Stockfish has arrived at the Chess Championship. This was recently announced by the Stockfish developers. Even Mini Torch has been released, in collaboration with the Chess.com team. These are brand new chess engines that master the game of chess and have a deep understanding of it. I played with them, and this game is between me and Mini Stockfish. So let's get started without wasting any time. I started the game with e4, we have e6 and d5 on the board, implying the French defense. Then, after knight c3, many players might consider playing knight f6 e5, or knight c6, which are good options. Knight f6 will face a pawn to e5, and then I will play f4, creating a strong pawn structure. If c5 happens on the board to attack the pawn, black might consider knight b6 to apply more pressure. Even playing bishop e3 looks valuable. Black might then play queen b6 to attack the pawn, but don't fear this because you have knight f4, kicking out the queen. When the queen moves to a5, double attacking the king and the queen, c3 will come to create a strong pawn chain and protect the knight. The game would continue in this manner, but in our actual game, instead of playing knight f6, Mini Stockfish chose to play bishop b4, attacking the knight and threatening to capture the pawn. Here, many players might consider playing queen g4 to attack the pawn, which looks promising, but black might sacrifice the pawn on g7, having no attachment to it. After rook g8 comes on the board, and the queen moves back, c5 will come, a crucial move to attack the center, and your knight will also be under attack. Black will be completely fine. So, going back to our game, instead of playing queen g4, I decided to push my pawn forward. Black responded with c5, as the bishop comes to d2, some may consider capturing the pawn on d4, but this is not a good move because after knight b5, your pawn will be under attack, and your bishop and king will be threatened by my knight and bishop. So, capturing the pawn is not viable, which is why we have the first piece exchanges on the board. Later, I played f4 to create a strong pawn structure in the center. Consequently, when black castles short, the problem for black is that my pawn on e5 controls key squares, and my f4 and e4 pawns support that structure. Black does not have a dark square bishop to protect along this diagonal. My bishop comes to d3, attacking the diagonal, and my knight, along with the queen on h5, can attack the pawn. I will also push my pawns on the kingside to destroy black's kingside defense. We have h6 on the board, and I play g4. My strategy is clear and determined. Mini Stockfish responded with a5, striking on the queen side, but my king is not located on the queen side, so this is not a threat to me. I continue with h4. And later my bishop moves back as we have b5, my other bishop moves back to d2 to control the open diagonal. A few moves later, we have c3. Many chess players might consider g5, but black will happily play h5. Eventually, he might play g6 to close the structure, and you will lose the advantage to attack. So, let me share a motivational quote in sudden with you. Tomorrow is not promised, and the past cannot be changed. Therefore, live each day to the fullest and know that every new day is a blessing. Going back to the position, I played c3 and later h5 to prevent black from pushing his h-pawn. Now, I consider g5, gaining access for my knight, and I will get the open file. We have b7 and castle. The problem for black is that my king is safe, and I can consider rook to g1 if necessary. After a couple of moves, we have a5 on the board. After black plays a5, I can consider an en passant move, but this is not favorable because after capturing the pawn, black will capture with his knight. If I play g5, black will not capture the pawn. He will play knight e4, a tricky move, and escape his king, later joining his rook on the g8 square. These circumstances will give black the open file, so, I did not play en passant because it is a vulnerable move for me. Instead, we have g5 on the board. The problem arises with b3, but I lock the position. We have king f7, where the rook can come in, and a couple of moves later, we have bishop takes h4 to gain access to the diagonal. Black is just making some moves. And we have the first pawn exchanges on g5, my rook gets on g1 to access the file, and the knight moves back to f8, protecting his home like two dogs guarding a house. We have rook g2, and after a few moves, there are some piece exchanges. After rook g3 and queen g2, I double up my rooks to attack along the file. As the knight moves, the pawn is under attack. Think a little bit about this position. I said so much blah 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 in my chess commentary, but you have to think carefully. What should black do in this position to protect the pawn? Many players might consider g6, but this is a vulnerable move because my bishop can come to g5, and later to f6, attacking the rook. As the rook moves, another knight will come to g5, attacking the rook again. Your rook has only one square to go, and then I will consider rook to h1 to overprotect my pawn. After capturing the pawn and checking the black king, regardless of the king's move, it will be a vulnerable situation for you. After king d8, I will consider knight f7, checking the king and rook, and you will lose the rook. If you consider king d7, it is also a losing move because I will consider bishop e8, attacking the king and discovering an attack on your rook by my rook. That is my strategy. So, going back to the position, we discover that playing g6 is not possible. Your pawn is under attack, and nobody can save it. This is why we have knight g6. Sacrificing the knight to get back the bishop, I first play bishop g5, protecting my bishop, and later I capture the knight. His king moves up to d7. Think about this position, the center and queenside are completely locked. How can I make a potential attack on black? My pieces are all stuck behind the pawn structure. So, what should you do to break black's position? I played a cunning move, bishop to f6, sacrificing the bishop. The reason is clear, to push the pawn to g7, attacking two pieces with support from the rook. Therefore, you cannot capture the bishop. As the king moves up, we have knight to g5, preparing to play knight to f7, attacking the rook. Your rook is completely vulnerable and cannot go anywhere. So, out of desperation, black captures the bishop, and we have knight to f7 followed by rook capturing on h8. Black plays e takes f4, but even in this position, you cannot capture the knight because of g7, you will lose another piece. That's why we have pawn capturing on f7. A couple of moves later, my bishop comes to f3, and the queen goes to h2 to gain access to the file. After a few moves, we have g7, and in this position, you can see that the knight is under attack by the queen. The worst case scenario for black is that if you ever dare to touch a single hair of my knight, I will crush black by playing bishop to h5, attacking these pieces. If the queen slides, the rook will be lost. Even if you capture my bishop, I will capture your queen, and the position will be completely in my favor. So, going back to the position, the knight cannot be captured by black. That's why black tries to play healthy moves. After a few more moves, the queen goes to h7 and g6, and later, we have some queen exchanges on e6. I capture the knight and promote a new queen. This position is completely winning for me because I am Stockfish, the god of chess, and my mini version, Mini Stockfish, cannot defeat me. I hope you enjoyed the game very much. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Wishing you all the best. Bye bye, take care, see you soon.